Hello students, let's continue with the further part of current asset financing policy. We were discussing working capital management chapter, in which we have already discussed in my previous session the optimum factors influencing working capital and what is the optimum level of determining working capital. Today let's continue with the current asset financing policy. The investment in current asset may be broken into two parts, that's the permanent current asset and the temporary working capital. Permanent current asset is the permanent requirement of money that you have to put in current assets even if your sales are very low or you make no sales. So they are like fixed amount that you should be keeping as permanent current assets. Whereas temporary working capital is the variable component that keeps on moving depending upon your sales or seasonal fluctuations. So higher the sales, temporary working capital will be high, lower the sales, it will be low. So if you look at this graph, you can find the permanent working capital is fixed here for a certain time period, amount of working capital. So it's a straight line. The straight line, below the straight line, everything is permanent working capital. And anything above the straight line is the variable working capital. So if you can see, the working capital is fluctuating above the straight line. The second way of showing it is even the permanent working capital can keep growing over the time. So initially this was the permanent working capital. As the time passes, the company expands and the permanent working capital may keep growing, whereas the variable above the line keeps fluctuating, which here you have more sales, you will have more working capital, less sales, the working capital will be very low, and so on and so forth. So this is how the permanent and temporary working capital looks like. Now, there are three alternative policies for financing working capital. It's policy A, B, and C. Policy A, if you see, is a red line. That means that's the minimum level of current assets anybody maintains at certain level of sales. So here the risk is very high. Policy B is a moderate policy. You don't have very low or very high working capital. You have a moderate working capital. And policy C is very conservative or reserved, where the company keeps high level of working capital. They don't want to take any risk. So C, policy C represents conservative approach. The person who's adopting policy C, having highest current assets, is very conservative in nature. He doesn't want to take risk. He wants more and more amount to be kept in working capital and used as and when required. Policy A represents aggressive approach. Here if you see in the policy A, it has a red line and very low level of working capital is maintained. So the person or the company is very aggressive. They don't want to keep high level of working capital. They are ready to take risk and they can manage things with low amount also, is what they feel. And policy B represents moderate approach, which is in between conservative and aggressive. So nor they are very high, nor they are very low. They are applying a moderate approach. So we should always have an optimum level of working capital, which we discussed in the previous session with the graph. Your carrying cost and shortage cost, wherever they intersect, you get an optimum level of working capital. Risk of long-term versus short-term debt also is to be taken into account when you think about these policies, because how are you going to finance your working capital? Are you going to get it from long-term loans or are you going to borrow short-term loans, is what you have to see. Matching approach to asset financing. Now here if you see, the long-term debt plus fixed asset, permanent current assets are fully financed by long-term debt and equity capital, whereas the variable, that is the fluctuating current assets, are financed by short-term debt. So this is called as matching approach. Whatever is permanent, the long-term and the equity capital will take care. Whatever keeps on fluctuating, you as and when you need, you go on borrowing through the short-term debt. Conservative approach, what they do, just see here, they are taking long-term debt for fixed assets, permanent current asset, and a certain portion of variable proportion also. And very small portion they go for short-term debt. So they don't want to take risk. Whatever long-term money they have, that they invest in working capital. Majority of the working capital is taken care by long-term debt, and very small portion is taken care by short-term debt. Whereas in case of aggressive approach, most of the thing is taken care by short-term debts. You can see here fixed assets and only some portion of permanent assets is taken by long-term debts. Half of the permanent current assets and full variable current assets are taken care by short-term debt. Here very less investment is done. in current assets from long-term debt, and most of it is managed through short-term debt. So conservative policy, under this policy, the investment in current asset is very high. This means that the firm has huge balance of cash, marketable securities, inventories, and high level of debtors. They don't want to take risks, so they maintain a huge balance of all these assets. Aggressive policy. Under this policy, the investment in current asset is low. This means the firm has small balance of cash and marketable securities, small amount of inventories, and low level of debtors. Here they are very aggressive, investing very less amount in the current assets. These are the sources for financing current assets. You can fund your current assets through accruals. What do you mean by accruals? Accrual is nothing but when you can make the payments later or delay the payments. You purchase goods today and pay later, we call it as accruals. Or you delay your electricity bill payment, salary payment, so you can use that money for other purposes, so that's called as accruals. Trade credit. Trade credit is something that you can get goods on credit, so you basically buy now and pay later. Working capital advance by commercial bank. This is a loan taken from commercial bank for working capital purpose. Public deposits. Here you accept deposits from the public for working capital investment. Intercorporate deposits. Here you can take help of other firm to get the deposits. So you tell other firm to give you or lend you money for your working capital need. Short short-term loans from financial institutions. Here you basically take loans from financial institutions other than banks for financing the working capital. Commercial papers. These are the papers issued by the company to borrow money for working capital requirement. It's like bonds, short-term bonds, factoring of the company, which help in collecting your debtors on behalf of you. So you tell the factoring agency to give you money now in advance for working capital, and you sell your debtors to them. They will collect money from the debtors on behalf of you. Working capital trade-offs. Now, if you have accounts receivable at high level, the benefits are your customers are happy, your sales are high. The disadvantages are it is very expensive because you give huge amount as credit, high collection cost, increasing financing cost. But if you keep low level accounts receivable, you will have dissatisfied customers, you will have lower sales, and the benefit is it is less expensive. Accounts payable and accruals. So if you're paying later, they give you credit. In that case, the benefits are you reduce need for extra finance because you're not paying it now. Spontaneously, you need not pay it. And cost is unhappy suppliers. The more you delay in payment, the suppliers remain unhappy. Then the next low level, if your accounts receivable, payable are at low level, the benefit is your suppliers are happy. Whereas the cost is you need spontaneous financing source, you need money right now to make payments to those particular people. So having high level of receivable is not good, nor having a low level. You should have optimum level of accounts receivable and accounts payable. Let's understand the working capital cycle, or we also call it as the operating cycle. So we start with cash. Whenever you run the business, you started with cash. Cash is converted to cash is used to buy the raw materials. So you buy raw materials. From raw materials, you convert it to just a second. Yeah, you buy raw materials, and the suppliers will ask you to pay later. So your accounts payable or your creditors come into picture there. And once you buy the raw materials, you convert them to work in progress. This work in progress is further converted to you do value addition to this work in progress, and it is further converted to finished goods. These finished goods are sold and you sell it on credit basis. So you have accounts receivable, or we can call it as debtors. These debtors will pay you back the cash. So this is how and this cash what you receive from debtors, you pay to the creditors or accounts payable. So this is how the operating cycle actually operates. You can have a look at it. So let's move further. What's the difference between operating cycle and financial and cash cycle? The operating cycle, the time between the purchase of raw material and the collection of cash for sales is referred to as operating cycle. So the day you purchase the raw material, convert it to work in progress, then finished goods, and then sell it and receive cash, we call it as operating cycle. Whereas the cash cycle says the time between payment for raw material purchases and collection of cash for sales is referred to as cash cycle. So here one new thing is added, that is you need to also pay for raw material. Here you are only receiving cash from sales, but you have to also consider payment for raw materials in this case. Operating cycle is the sum of inventory period and accounts receivable period, whereas cash cycle is equal to operating cycle minus accounts payable period. So when you add all the periods, raw material, finished goods, selling, then debtors taking time, all that put together, we call it operating cycle. And from operating cycle, when you minus the creditors period or accounts payable period, it becomes cash cycle. So here you can see purchase resources, this is inventory, conversion, sell on credit, and then you receive cash. So here this entire thing we can call it as operating cycle. And if I have to find cash cycle, from operating cycle I should minus the payable period and get the cash cycle. So this full is the operating cycle doing all these things. And from this operating cycle, if I remove creditors payment period, I'll get the cash cycle. So this was about the working capital, the second part that we have discussed. Thank you.